Hi, it's February the 2nd now. Actually, my dad's birthday. He would have been 99 if he hadn't died 30 years ago. And he died at the same age that I am right now. But anyway, here's to you, Dad. So, yeah, February the 2nd, seems like we've lost a month already. 2 months to go, we got to get this done. And there's not just the interior, we got to work on the element to get it up to par to make the road trip. I guess I haven't told you where we're going. We're going back down to La Paz because that's the home of all the elements. That's where elements go in the wintertime. And every time you go to La Paz, that's on the Baja, you'll see 4 or 5 elements. Hundreds of elements down there. Anyway, we need to carry on with what we were doing yesterday. We were talking about the platform, and if for some reason you haven't seen that, you should go back to part 2 and take a look. Because I'm going to just tell you about the hardware that we need to use in order to make this work. So first of all, here's our 8-inch piece, which has to hinge up like this. So that'll be pretty simple. We just got some piano hinge. In this case, I bought aluminum just so it won't rust. Doesn't need to be stainless, it's not outside. And I bought continuous so I can just drill holes. I don't have extra holes in it to weaken it. So that's going to be just attached right onto our angle. What we'll do here is we'll pop rivet it through the steel, and going down we'll drill and use machine screws into T-nuts. Just remember what has to happen. This has to go up and stop in this position. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to add some magnets so when it goes up, it clicks and holds in the upright position. So that's the 8-inch piece. The back piece, the 16 and a half inch piece, is a little more problematic because if you can remember, we wanted it to not only flip up on an angle like this, we wanted it to go all the way over. It goes all the way like this and covers the top of the cushions. So this has to hinge back like this on an angle and all the way back flat. You know what you have to do? You have to make yourself a little model or a maquette. So if we remember what we were doing, we're talking this hinge right here, where this has to hinge up on an angle and over. So just take a look at this. So I've cut a slot in the plywood and inserted the piano hinge, and also cut the 2 pieces on a 45-degree angle so that now this can go in that position. It can go all the way over in couch position and all the way back for the kitchen counter. And also then, when we straighten it out, it's flat for the bed. So as we go ahead, that looks like that, up, and all the way over. If you can see, I've put a few little spacers in here just to try to get the hinge point right at the center of the plywood. Again, this is aluminum. We'll drill through and bolt them through all the way along. As far as the other hardware, we'll just use machine screws through there. Probably put locked nylon locks on them. At the front, same idea. We'll just use small machine screws that can be counterset so everything is flush. One more issue that we have is we have to somehow capture these as they slide forward, because what will happen is they'll fall through. They'll fall through or they'll go up. So what we need to do is we'll put, this is a piece of 1/8 inch aluminum by 1 inch bar. So we'll put that on top, and underneath we'll put a piece of steel and bolt that together with a little bit of space so that this can slide and hold all the pieces in place as it goes to the front. Now, one problem we'll have is that we're restricted to the distance in between here, which is only 21 inches. So you think, well, how are we going to make the couch seat fit there in 21 inches? And so what we'll do is we'll add the equivalent of 2 pieces of, probably use birch, on the front here to bring it out another 1.5 inches. And if we use a small enough piece of steel behind, we'll only lose 1/2 inch. And in that way, we'll get our full length. So that means our front shelf is actually going to stick out an extra 1.5 inches, which is a good thing because we need to be able to hide the legs. And I said this didn't have legs, but it actually does. When the front section is slid all the way out, it needs to be supported. So there's small legs that will be hidden in that wooden bullnose. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, now we know what we were doing. We can go off to the hardware store and see if we can find the right nuts and bolts to get this thing done. Anyway, I guess I'll take you there. Well, you know, hardware is like the jewelry on your project there. So if you need some, you need to go to the jewelry store. And here are the jewels. This is what you call a hardware store. So we got to find machine screws. I think they're all over here, yeah. Probably buy some boxes there. This is everything you need and more. Okay, got my little picnic basket. Yeah, I think we got what we need here and should be ready to head on back down. Well, we got all the hardware we needed and I picked up a few other things. I picked up the front piece of wood. It's poplar actually. I didn't get the birch. Birch was too expensive. It's a 8-foot 1x3, which is 3/4 by 2.5. And so we've got our 2 pieces of piano hinge. This is our aluminum strip that goes on the top to hold the slats in. This is our backing. It's a piece of 3/4 by 1/8 steel, and it'll be underneath like this for our backing. And we've got a piece of angle, 3/4 by 3/4 angle, which we're going to use for the front legs. So we're pretty much set. What we're going to have to do now is it's just a lot of measuring, drilling, prepping everything. When you're building something like this, or when you're building everything, you should make it so you can take it apart, because you're always going to have to make some changes and you don't want to make anything permanent. So what we want to do is finish all the pieces. So we're going to drill everything, we're going to sand them, we'll chamfer the edges. So for two reasons. One reason is we don't want to have any splinters, but the other reason is when something has a rounded edge, the finish will hold on much better. It won't break away. It creates kind of an envelope around it. I've just put quite a few into the vise, and I'll just sand them all at the same time. See, I got a block underneath, so they'll rest above the vise, and they rest level. Level them out. Now what we're trying to do is get the saw marks off them, because even if you have a good blade, you'll still get some roughness. There we go, looking good. These don't need much. They're a very fine finish on Baltic birch. So once we have those sanded, then we want to chamfer the edge, and we're going to do that on the router table. And one thing to do for sure is to put on your ear protection, because these routers are noisy. Don't know if you can see that, but if you look at the end, you see that the edge is just taken off there. And that's going to make it nice and soft, no splinters, and it'll finish up very nicely. So now all we have to do is do the other 34. But we'll treat every edge like that and drill everything, give them another fine sanding with a finer sandpaper, and then we'll be ready to assemble. But that's going to take a while, and I won't bore you with that. But the next thing I think we're going to have to deal with is the storage area in the element. And there's a place where the spare tire is stored, where there's a lot of valuable storage that we're going to recover. So our next part will be renovating the basement of the element. So I'll catch up with you then. Bye for now. Take care.